Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to some more 25 Days of Go. I'm Dwyrin, and I think we are on day 21 now. And today we're going to be going over some of the things that you guys have been suggesting. Today it was actually spare audio that intrigued me. Something that he's been struggling with is using thickness to make territory. You've apparently been doing that. You're not supposed to use thickness to make territory, and he's like having some trouble with that. So right away I obviously, sit there think, well, do I have a really good example off the top of my head that I can use for this? And sure enough, I do, because we actually just went over something like this. So let's say we've got something like this. I just went over a variation similar to this yesterday, so this should be pretty easy. So alright, right away we are going to go with kablam, low Chinese, and we're going to approach it. And this used to be something that you could do. Maybe it still is, but we can hane here, and you can see, there we go. Well, I actually don't want to do that, or do I want to do that? Let's think about this. Think. We can go here. That gets there. We can go here. And we can go there. There we go. Sorry, order doesn't really matter too much in that case, but I'm being picky. So we've got this for ourselves. Wow. That's... Okay, so the thickness that we're looking at is over here right now. White's next move. Now, if you are sitting here as white, you could think to yourself, oh my god, I've got so much over there. I'm going to make territory now with that wall. Cool. Making some points. Problem is, you can see that we're over-concentrating our wall because this is still very much open. So if this was to use thickness, I think we kind of failed at that, because that's just kind of like just a group right now. So that seems like a very weird position to be in. Let's undo that. And no, that black group is not going to die. So you could say, okay, I'm going to play here then. But starters, we still have this. We're still not picking up much territory. So you can say, okay, I'm going to go here then. And now this is a little bit better. But there's still really awkward spots in here. We're still not making too much territory because it looks like we're over-concentrating on our wall. Still, we're only 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away, despite the fact that it looks like we have about a 5-stone wall here-ish. So, not to mention the fact that the 3-3 is still open. So this is open. This is open. I don't know. There might even be Aji here that you can, peep and then try to come out or something. So there's still a lot behind here. So what are you really doing? You're trying to make this wall be difficult to handle, and it seems like it couldn't be any easier, really. So one thing that we do see sometimes is in this particular situation, we see the good old 2-point, this little 2-point jump here. We don't see it very often, the 3-3, because, 3, or not the 4-4, because the 3-3 is vulnerable. And if our opponent wants to come in, we don't have easy options here. It's either bam or somewhere in there. You're picking. You're either going to go in that corner, or you're going to go head first against that wall. Those are your only options. Probably wouldn't want to play here. The low is very strange, because then you could just be peep, connect, and then shoulder hit, jump out. Now it's pretty easy to handle, right? That really couldn't be any easier. But this is a bit of an interesting one. We're not trying to make territory. There's still a lot of room here. We're just extending. We're not trying to concentrate ourselves. And we're limiting the amount of ways that our opponent has to actually, do something here. Now, sadly, in this particular, full confession, in this particular variation, we don't really see it all that often because, holy crap, you can see how much we're giving away in exchange for this kind of question mark thing on the field. And black doesn't even respond. Black just keeps extending out. Because really, this extension right here is way too good, right? I mean, this is like threatening to come out here now, right? And that's just growing, and this is usually not regarded as a very good position for white. So if we were going to use something like this, you can kind of see the idea behind something nice and clean, like nice solid wall, where you'd want to like think about extending to in a particular field and why. How we don't want to like leave behind all of those stupid, nasty little weak points, and just see if we can't limit them as much as possible, right? Make sense? Cool. Let's look at another example. Now, in the interest of using some examples that I think you guys have seen a couple of times before, let's go and set something like this up. Let's set something like this up, shall we? Where we're going to have an orthodox. We're going to have an orthodox. And we're going to have an opponent go yoop and yoop. Let's reapproach high like so. And black's going to separate. And we're going to go yoop and yoop. Something a bit like so. You know what variation's coming up here. This is a great example. White wants to connect. White wants to connect. Black wants to connect. And then we're just going to Atari like so. Stone's a bit dirty. I think I need to clean my stones. Use them a lot this month. Alright. So we've got something a bit like that. There we go. There we go. So, right away, we have thickness here. Right? We got some thickness over here, got some thickness over here. And if we were going to make territory with our thickness, the minute our opponent goes here, we would be considering to do something along the lines of this. To make territory, right? Making territory. But then our opponent might just go and take another large point on the board. So we've got like this little tiny area here, right? Maybe for ourselves. But our opponent is just like paving their way through the here, while we just try to like use this little area. It's kind of small, not at all large. So we could be like, oh right, I'm gonna try to do something like this instead. And the answer doesn't really change, because now we're trying to make this little area, which is a bit better, but we still see all of this kind of being laid claim to, right? And, fun fact, this isn't territory yet, this is still open. So, our best bet right now, believe it or not, is to kind of ignore what's going on the board right now. It's like, how are we going to use this thickness? We don't really know. Maybe we're going to do something over here later. Maybe we're going to try to attack the two stones completely. Maybe we're not going to care and just expand here and have our opponent come in and we're just going to make an attack and build. We don't really know. But while we don't really know right now, we know that we don't have to worry about white right now either, because I mean, this is undercut. These are just 4 points, so we can just continue the game like normal. We're not really pressured to make those little tiny territorial points right now, or the really crazy ones. We can just wait and see what our opponent wants to do with them, because maybe our opponent will give us a great way to use them, or maybe things like this will be large later on the board, but right now they're kind of too small given everything else in the field. So let's continue onwards. Our opponent plays here, and we decide to play here because holy crap, we got huge stuff going on here. So our opponent responds, bam. Opponent responds, bam, and you can see how the thickness just kind of continues to grow. Now, instead of just, worrying about reducing this area, suddenly our opponent has to worry about reducing all of this area, right? Like, what is this going to do? Who knows? But they got to do something, and then when they put that stone down to do something, that's when you profit from it. You profit from, like, attacking this. This is what you've been waiting for. This strategy was waiting for that reduction, kind of like a like a Chinese Fuseki is kind of waiting for your opponent to try to go in and jump into a pincer. This strategy is kind of waiting for them to just like go in and start reducing you, because maybe you get away with things you couldn't otherwise have gotten away with. Like maybe we can actually 4, 5, 6 line and then drop down later. Maybe that's possible. Maybe that's possible. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we're going to get something like really, really large around, I don't know, here while we're chasing. And then we can go and see about, you know, cutting off these stones because we're kind of surrounding them. So our opponent would have, you know, territory here, maybe some territory here. Not a lot of points, not a lot of points. And as long as we attack, you know, we're getting some in here, we're getting some in here, we're going to get some out of this attack somehow, not really sure where. Still room to grow, of course. And that's going to be the value of our the value of the thickness that we're using. Not, you know, the small points that we saw. Difference between that, for example, and, you know, going back and playing something like this. That's really, really tiny. We don't want to play. Versus what you just saw, where we kind of have that whole board attack kind of coming together. Now you might say, well, oh, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm just going to like take a few points now, and then I'll do the whole board thing later. But you might not be able to do that, right? Because it's black's turn right now, right? White backed off, you might play here. Maybe, you know, white play somewhere around here. And never has to invade you. Maybe white plays here. The invasion has to come from you against this now. It's not white having to invade you. It doesn't have to invade any of this. You can take that tiny little area. That's okay. White's not going to care. So it's a very big difference. This is a game fundamentally of maybe the other variation where white has to reduce black, versus like a variation like this where black has to reduce white. And that, for example, is why we do not make territory with our thickness. So who was that? I think that was Spare Audio. Yeah, Spare Audio. Hope that kind of helps you see the reasons why we don't try to use thickness to make territory a little bit easier. Hope you enjoyed the examples and that you are enjoying the series. Everyone else, of course, hope you're having a happy holiday as per usual. And we will be back tomorrow with some more 25 Days of Go. So until then, take care, everyone.